Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the live stream. It's good to see you. If you can hear me, if you can see me, we are in great shape. But if there's any problems, just let me know. Say something in the chat. But I think everything's looking good. Like all my monitors and stuff are bouncing, so it looks like we have good signal across the board. Let me straighten this guy out for you a little bit. So good evening. Welcome to the live stream. I've got a couple notes here of things to go over, but if you guys have any questions or anything, just let me know what they are. Try to keep them kind of specific to the topic that we are on at the moment, but ultimately, if you do have a question, just ask it, and I'll see it in the chat, and whenever I get to that, I'll address it. But we'll do our best to kind of keep it on topic tonight and keep it interesting. The goal is to make you a better fisherman. So till this stream is done, you will be better for listening to it, to have you understand. But thank you for being here. I'm going to do my best to give you guys some good information. And I guess I'm kind of stalling a little bit just to give people about 2 or 3 minutes to realize we're live. But hello, that's my intro. If I'm getting any new viewers here on the channel and we haven't met face-to-face, my name's Randall. I have a fishing charter. I work primarily on Lake Lewistown, Foster Sayers in Howard, Pennsylvania, and Lake Erie in Pennsylvania. So I'm going to talk about a little bit all of those places here today, but ultimately the goal is to, of course, meet with you face-to-face and do that either at a charter or at one of the events we do, or maybe I'm just loading the boat down at the dock or something like that, and I run into you. I give you a chance to shake hands and say, it's nice to meet you and stuff face to face. But the goal is to connect. The great challenge at a large fishery with as many many different people as we have out of all the charters and all the different things going on down at the lake, is the sense of community can get lost. So the goal here is to create some common ground to where we can all come together and share, with like-minded people and discuss topics, things we're passionate about, centered around the Lewistown community, centered around fishing. So that's kind of what these live streams are doing. It's just giving us another opportunity to come together and discuss things that we have similar passions in. And boy, do we have a great community, guys. And it seems like we're talking more. It seems like we're getting a little bit tighter and such, so the information is starting to flow. I think we are becoming better as a whole because of the communication. So thank you guys for being part of this community. Let's get this live stream started up. So I did just briefly mention just a second ago that part of the goal is to bring us together as a community, and one of the ways that we are trying to do that is through these events. And I do have a couple events coming up that you probably have seen. Maybe you've seen a video, but on my Facebook page I have 2 events listed right now, so I want to take a minute and go over them with you independently here, individually. So the first one is the Catfish and Carp event. It is on the 31st here, coming up just in about 2 weeks, something like that. I'm looking at my calendar. Yeah, so not this weekend, but the weekend after. It's coming up. And it's going to be a Saturday event, and it's going to kick off at about 9 in the morning, and we'll just run that until we're done. And I'd probably be done with that, by before dark anyway. But we're going to run that as much as we want to. So there's a link on my Facebook page that you can find the details of it. And that's the Catfish and Carp event that's listed. And then there's also the Paddling and Bassing. This one's a kayaking event. And this is going to be, yes, it's the week following. So this is 2 weeks out, and then it's 2 weeks in a row. And this is June 6th. Now, this one is one, there's a couple videos, and you can go into the discussion, into the information section here, and you can get some of the details on what the event is all about. But there's a couple videos from the Paddling and Bassing events of the past that you can check out. and get an idea about what it's all about. But it's a kayaking event. It's a 2 overnight, 2-day paddle event. This is growing pretty fast, so you'll see that I'm making a slight change to it this year, and it's not really for this year, but for moving forward. But understand that you can do this event any way you want to. Like, you can come out and just camp, and you can come out and just paddle, or you can do that for one day or one night, or you can do the entire event. If you do the whole event, it's 2 overnight and 2-day paddle. So it turns into a real fishing adventure. And I know a lot of folks have never done like an overnight paddle fishing event. This is guided. We show you where to go, where to stay and stuff. There's no easier way to do an overnight paddling adventure than paddling in Bassin. The paddle itself is basic, which means you don't have to be a pro in any sorts, nothing like that. You just show up with your kayak and stuff and your license, your fishing license, and you just go and paddle. So the rapids that are there are really mellow, and for the most part, if it gets too rough for you, you just step out of the boat and you walk along the shore, and then you get back in the boat when you're ready. So it's pretty mellow. It's a mellow paddle, and it's a pretty good time for everybody. So those are the 2 events coming up. Now, the thing that I was saying that is different this year is that if you're coming to the event, what I did is I added on my website, if you go to the fishing section here, you'll see down in the list of fishing trips and charters and stuff, there are 2 events listed here. That's the catfish and carp event and the paddling and bassin event. I put a registration that's up, but this is a voluntary registration. And I put a dollar amount of $5 on there just so I knew that it was affordable for everybody. So listen, the registration, you do not have to pay this. This is a free event for you to attend. The $5 registration is there just for folks who do want to contribute to it. There are some expenses that have to be absorbed to be able to put on these little events. They're not much, but there is real expense to doing this. So I put this voluntary donation there that if you want to contribute, you can. You can give as little, as much, or nothing at all. It doesn't change the fact that you can just show up that day and fish. So there's no problem with that at all. But I want to make sure you know that on my website, I do have those links available. And if you want to give an amount different than the $5, there's a donation link down at the bottom. You can just use that. And I might as well highlight here my phone number. My phone number is at the bottom of every page on my website for a reason. I want you to have that in your phone. The reason being is if you're out on the lake and you get stuck, you're having issues or something, you can send me a text. I'm on the water a lot, so I might be able to help you, but even if I'm not there, I'll probably have an idea who is, and we'll get somebody out to get you off the water, get you to the nearest dock anyway. It's just one more option to have, and besides, guys, if you don't have my phone and if you haven't been texting me, I have a lot of folks who fish the lake regular, and we just talk about lake conditions. We talk about lake conditions. We talk about where they're biting, what they're biting on and such. I have regular conversation with a lot of the fishermen on the lake, and that information helps us all. So if that number is not in your phone yet, please put it in there. And I think you'll be happy you did. But good evening, guys. Welcome to the live stream. I think that's long enough for kind of warm up there. Just went over the couple events. Do you guys have any questions for me? Good evening. All right, Brian, I see you. Hello, Mark. Good evening. Harold, good evening. It's good to see you. All right, cool. So, I want to talk about 2 things major that I want to stay on topic here for tonight for the live stream. And this is kind of loose. I'm not trying to be real rigid and stuff. It's just been a few weeks since we got together with the live stream. So I wanted to jump on here and reconnect with you kind of. But the 2 topics that I want to kind of stick to tonight is lake trout and perch fishing at Lake Lewistown. Now, we're going to cover some other lakes tonight while we're going through it, but I'm going to come back to lake trout and perch at Raystown, and there's a reason for that. Lake Raystown is a strong lake trout fishery. There's a reason I encourage people to fish for them, and it's because they are very prolific, and it is a large game fish. That being said, sometimes they are very stubborn. So I have learned that whenever the lake trout bite gets difficult, to be content with chasing other species. And I know that other species for a lot of folks is smallmouth bass, because we have a good smallmouth bass fishery here at Raystown Lake. But I find that I prefer to chase other species other than bass. That's just my preference. It's what I enjoy. So I expect you to chase whatever you enjoy. I'm going to do the same. And that's where the perch comes in. So those are the two species that you'll find that I target a lot, and that's why those are my charters. You know, I do a lot of lake trout charters, and I do a lot of perching charters. I should mention, too, that we have... so perch fishing at Raystown is phenomenal. Most of you guys know that. And I am doing a trip every Friday now so that we can get after the perch. So if you guys want to join me for the perch fishing trips, they are every Friday. Let me show you. They are every Friday, and it's right here. And it's $50 for a seat, and I can take up to 4 people. So I keep a calendar here on my computer, just keeping in mind who's going. But if you want to be a part of one of those perch fishing trips, just send me a text. Same phone number. You just send me a text, and I'll talk to you. I'll pick you. We'll figure out a seat that works well for you on what day and such. But every Friday I'm doing those. Now this Friday, I am going to do 2 perch fishing trips, and I posted this on my Facebook page too. So you guys can you can go here on my Facebook. There it is. So this Friday is a little different than most, because normally on Friday I only do this time slot, this 2 to 5. But this week I'm doing an earlier time slot, so earlier in the day. So I'm doing 2 trips, and if you can make time to come out and perch fish with us, it's available to you. This Friday I got double charters, so I got more options for you. But the trip is right here on the website. You can look up and get the details for it, but that's it right there. Other than that, I've also added back into it the jigging trip as well. Now, the jigging trip is actually coming up. I was talking with a gentleman about doing a split trip, and instead of doing a split trip, I recommended that we did an afternoon lake trout jigging trip, and we decided we're going to do that. So I'm filling my boat with lake trout jigging fishermen on the 28th. So if you look at your calendar, let me jump on. I guess I can go on to my website here. If you look at the calendar, today is the 19th. Right here is the 19th. So we're looking at the 28th, which is next Wednesday. So next Wednesday, 1 p.m. out of 7 points, we are going to go out for a lake trout jigging trip. This is not the only lake trout jigging trip we're going to go on. We're definitely going to go on for some more, but this is going to be the first one of this year. I've done a little bit of jigging already, of course, for them, but I haven't done a specific, lake trout jigging trip. So if you guys want to come on that, I still have 3 seats that are open as of this live stream. So just, again, send me a text, and if there's still a seat open, I will schedule it. If there is some extra interest, because I know these lake trout jigging trips, they're pretty popular. Guys have a pretty good time on it. If there's a lot of interest and I get some overflow, we'll pick another day that works, and we'll work that out. So don't be discouraged if I get more than 4 people booked for a lake trout trip. I'll schedule another day. Of course, I'm happy to schedule more charters if we need them. That keeps me in business. So thank you for that. And you guys have been great with the chartering too. Everybody's been really reasonable, really flexible with the weather we had with Lewistown getting flooded and stuff. So it's been really good. I have had a perfect showing. No one's standing me up. Nothing like that. So I don't have any issues. Nothing. No qualms. No complaints. No nothing. And that's just testimony to you guys being a solid stand-up fisherman. So appreciate that. I did something today whenever I was kind of prepping for this live stream. I was thinking about something interesting to do for the live stream, and what I found myself looking at was some state record fish, and I found some cool stuff in here, a couple names that you guys might be familiar with, and so I want to go through those in just a few minutes with you, and we're going to go over some state record fish as well. All right, so the other day I was out, I had a charter, and we were out looking for lake trout. And I have a question for you guys in the community. I have a theory, but I'm trying to look for some clarity and maybe try to learn a little bit myself. So I'm going to reach out to you guys and see what you think. So this is the interaction portion. This is where you type into the feedback or there into the chat if you have some idea or insight. We were fishing Lakers. We were jigging them, and we were on fish. So we were on the Lakers. I know they're there, and they're moving around and such, but they would not take our lures, and they're being stubborn. So they would swipe at it a little bit, but they wouldn't dedicate. They wouldn't. So if your lure was up here swimming, they would come up and then they would just bank off. They just wouldn't commit to taking it. So I did what most of us would do, is I changed my presentation up. So we went to stuff that was more finesse, and then we went to live bait as well. So we were jigging with live bait down there, and what we were getting is they were nipping at the live bait. It was such a weak bite, and it seemed to have changed pretty quickly that day. So this was what day was that? Here it was just 2 days ago. Is that right? Yeah, Saturday. So it was just Saturday. So that's the 17th. And I had some thoughts on it, but I wanted to know, have you guys been out on the water? Did you guys notice the lake trout bite shutting down? And do you have any ideas why? I have some theories, but I don't want to say anything that might change your mind. But if you were out there and you experienced that, I'd like to hear about it. So, how did we handle it for the charter? Of course, I'm not gonna linger too long with fish that are unresponsive, because I want to catch with my charter. The wind was picking up, and hey, good evening, Scott. The wind was picking up, and I had live bait, so we banked up at a good spot, and we ended up boating a couple fish. Unfortunately, they weren't anything to be bragging about, with the exception of the fact that they were just jumbo white perch. So we were catching jumbo white perch, and then that led to us jigging for them in that location, and by then the wind was really howling, and so it was difficult to consider trolling. The fishing trip, as you can imagine from a charter's perspective, was going downhill pretty fast. So these gentlemen, they've fished with me before. They had the last trip we were on, they were jigging up Lakers, and they had a banger of a trip. And I'm being really transparent here as a charter, because not every fishing trip is a banger of a trip. That's just an unrealistic expectation. Though we strive for that, not every trip is that. So we were out there, we were catching a few fish, but it wasn't what we wanted to catch, and the rate was really falling off, it's slowing down. So I talked to these gentlemen who they're great fishermen. They fish the lake a lot, and they fished with me before, so they understand this. They're very seasoned fishermen. They understood, that's part of the ebbs and flows of fishing. Well, I suggested to them going back and checking this one cove that I'm familiar with. And I said, I think we might be able to find some yellow perch in this one cove if you guys have the time. And at this point, we're like staying over a little bit extra. I said, if you have the time, we'll go back and we'll look at it and see if there's, we can have a little bit of luck back there. And I'm so glad we did that. Till the end of the trip, these gentlemen went home with a cooler full of yellow perch. The yellow perch were there. We got on them and we caught them up, and they had a great fishing experience. It wasn't what we were expecting to do, but we still had a great trip. From a charter's perspective, sometimes you're playing the catch-up or the salvage game at the end of a trip, and it's not a place we like to be, but it's just a reality of the fishing game. You have to be prepared for that. And it was ultimately a good trip, but I'm curious what you guys think about Saturday's bite dropping off like that. Now, I have talked to some other individuals about it too, and they experienced something really similar. The short strikes wasn't something that only I experienced, is what I'm saying. So these are totally different boats, and these are good fishermen, and it's good advice that they shared, that we shared with each other. But I want to know what you guys think. So if you were out Saturday fishing, I'd like to hear what your experiences are. And I'm going to come back to that. I just don't want to say anything right now to change people's minds and stuff. So if you have a theory why on Saturday the bite was like that, or why the lake trout were acting like that, please speak up. Let me know. All right, check this out. I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. But I wanted to share with you guys here some of the state record fish and maybe some of the familiar names that came up. So I have, before I jump into that, let me do this. You see this this right here, this rock bass? Oop, what am I doing? Right here, rock bass. I want to share something with you guys right now. Check this out. I'm gonna take you guys for a ride. Hang on tight. Buckle your seatbelts. I found this guy while perch fishing the other day. And that is a little rock bass. Now, if you look here, there's a fathead minnow in here. He's just food. So don't think he's anything other than just food. He's just food. I put him in there so the rock bass could eat him, but I put him in there with 5 of his buddies. So 5 of those rock bass are gone. Or I'm sorry, 5 of those fatheads are gone, and this rock bass has a gut. And I'm trying to get him out of there. Let me see if I can shoo him out of there. Yeah, get out of there. Come down and see everybody. All right, well, that's what we got. So that's the rock bass. That's my new pet, my friendly little fish that I brought home. And I wanted to ask you guys about that rock bass because I didn't give him a name or anything. So I was thinking maybe we'd name him as a community, but I'm going to keep him right here next to the live stream for us, and maybe we'll grow him up and then release him at some point. Well, Scott, yeah, the jumbo white perch are definitely worth targeting, and we did target them. We put a few in the cooler, and I think at that point we were just kind of running short on time, and I suggested we switched over and we went after the yellow perch. So the jumbo white perch were coming in the boat, but it was at a very slow rate. You understand, like the bite was really tough for me anyways. I couldn't figure it out. Some guys were probably out there just killing it, but we were struggling, so I thought that we had a better chance of loading the cooler up if we went somewhere else, and fortunately that did pan out good. So, but I think you would have been just as happy to have a bunch of yellow perch too. I don't know why I'm showing this guy. I'm showing you guys that. But yeah, that's the rock bass, and a 3-pound rock bass is insane. The one in there is like 3 ounces. But here we go. So this one is probably the most famous that we're all familiar with, and of course that's Sparky Price, and that's his the famous striped bass that he got here at Huntingdon. And you guys can look these up too. 53 pound, 12 ounces, and I'm just being too sensitive with the. There it is. All right, so we got 53 pound, 12 ounce on that striper, and of course you guys are really familiar with that one. So as I was going through these, what I found was right here we got a common carp right here in Huntingdon, and this is somebody that I don't know who this is, but they caught a 52 pound common carp, and this was right on the Juniata River here in Huntingdon County. Now this is way back in 1962. So do you guys know George Brown? It's from Saltillo. But there's no photo, so let's go ahead and look for one that's got a photo. And there's only a couple of these that have a photo that are from us, that names that we might recognize. But I wanted to show you the yellow perch from up at Lake Erie. This is 2021. That's a yellow perch right there. Look at his belly though. It's just, his belly's down inside his hand. He's dragging low. So that's from Lake Erie. Got good yellow perch up there. And then here's another one from Huntingdon. And this should be a familiar image. This is Mr. Brian Keller. This is a very grumpy looking Brian Keller. A very young, grumpy looking Brian Keller. But yeah, it's a great fish. These are, the years whenever you were fishing for, and that was a 17 pound, 2 ounce landlocked Atlantic salmon. So these would have been the final years that the salmon were going to be in the lake. I haven't seen any more recent than that. So maybe you guys have an image or something that you want to share. It'd be cool. But that's our own Brian Keller. And then I don't know if there's another one there. So we got Erie, Pink Salmon Saga. No. I'm seeing if there's anything else from Lewistown Lake. I don't think there is. So there's just some cool pictures to share with you and such. But massive, massive fish. So the lake trout. I'm going to bring this up while I'm thinking. But the lake trout had the opportunity to the lake trout, I believe the reason they got shut down might have had something to do with the high pressure system. Now that's not the only thing, of course, but here we are on the 17th right here. So we're looking back on Saturday. The full moon was on the 12th, and then the 17th we have a morning, so the moon is going to be underfoot most of the day. So I often talk about the moon cycle a lot with you guys, and I think what we experienced there was two things hitting us simultaneously. I met my charter at 5 a.m., so we fished right up to most of the moon was essentially coming down, if you will. So this was the latest portion of the moon overhead that I like to schedule during. And so what happens, I think, is in the morning here, we got in this section and we started realizing that the Laker bite was tapering off, that they were coming, but they weren't committing. And I think that part of that is because the moon was moving from overhead to underfoot. But even more than that, I think it was a shift in the weather. The shift in the weather I think I'm referring to is that I believe what happened was a change from high pressure to low pressure. and then low pressure to high pressure. What you want is a barometer that's dropping. You want clouds and rain moving in. Whenever the skies are clearing and it's getting really pretty out, I find that the bite tends to shut down. And we experienced that in a very dramatic way on Saturday. So if you guys went out fishing, do you guys recall that? When you were out on the water and the sky started opening up and it got real pleasant and everybody's like, all right, it's beautiful out, let's go fishing. It's unfortunate that nice weather doesn't make for nice fishing. I find it to be counterintuitive. I found it to be contrary to the weather. So bad weather, good fishing. Good weather, bad fishing. Generally speaking, that's how it is. And then with that, coupled with the fact that we had the moon dropping now below the horizon, and I know that the moon talk is something that's a little bit difficult for people to wrap their heads around. There's a very real effect that the moon has on these fish. The gravitational pull moves entire tides. It moves the ocean, guys. They are sensitive to this. You and I, we're affected by like moon cycle. Like think about if you work in the entertainment industry and say you're a server, you work at a restaurant, you're working with people is what I'm saying. During a full moon, it's a full moon without even seeing the moon. People get weird around it. So it affects the whole system. So it's not just fish, it's not just us. We're all affected by moon cycles. So it's very real. I'm not talking about astrological signs and things like that. I'm talking about very physical response that we have to gravitational pull and moon cycle. I think it's like in our DNA. But so I want to share with you guys just one more time because I know some people are a little bit slow with getting on board with the moon cycles. This is a good site where you can go to. It's just timeanddate.com. And you can look at a lot of stuff on here. The moon cycle is just one of them. But you can track the moon cycle and start to learn for yourself. So the full moon will be there. It tells you when the moon's coming up, when it's going down. Today is the 19th. So we're seeing it set at about lunchtime. And then it's going to come back up tomorrow on the 20th. It's going to come back up at about 2 o'clock in the morning. And it'll peak at around 8 in the morning. So tomorrow, what you can expect based on just the moon is that the morning bite will be the strongest. If you have one factor to look at, I would tell you it's the moon. You can predict that weeks out. And if you have the liberty to change or adjust your schedule to match the moon, it's a great option. It's a great metric to look at before you just head out blind. You can at least measure that. Say, hey, I can go for 3 or 4 hours on this day. I can break away from the house or whatever this weekend for a couple hours. What's the best block of time for me to do so? Look at the moon, see what the moon's doing, and just focus your efforts so that you're a little bit more successful. I hope that helps you guys. But I think that's what we had happening. I think we had a declining moon, and I think we had a high-pressure system moving in. I'm thinking that's what it was. So if you were out there and you experienced a shift or a hard bite there during those times, I'd love to hear about it and, discuss it. Let's have a conversation. But I think that's what happened. Cool. I have something to share with you. I'll be going to Lake Erie here in just a couple weeks. I'm going up on the 8th through the 18th. So that is, of course, so 1, 2, 3 weeks out, something like that. It's the week after July 4th. But I'm going up July 8th through the 18th. If you go to my site and you look at my calendar, you can actually look that up. There's June, there's July. You can see that I'm going up from the 8th to the 18th. And I do have a couple charters booked, but if you want to join me up there, It's no problem. I have plenty of days open from the 8th to the 18th. And what I'm doing is I'm setting up my big canvas tent too. So the reason I'm pointing that out is because I know traveling to Lake Erie sounds like a lot. Do the charter, and I'm going to set up my big canvas tent, and I'm going to put a nice floor in it, and I'm going to put my cot in it and stuff. So just bring what you need to be able to sleep comfortably, but you got all the amenities. It's a great campground, got showers and everything, right? So it's a good place. It's good and set up. Won't cost you a dime. It is free for you to come and stay at the campground because I'm already there and I'm going to be set up so that you can join me. And you're welcome to come and just stay in this house of a tent that I have. I've used it for fishing and chilling. I've camped up at Erie many times with it. It's a large canvas tent. You'll be very comfortable there. But that keeps you from having to get a hotel room or a motel. And you can just come up, do your fishing, and then go back home. And we'll send you home with some walleye. But the dates are going to be the 8th to the 18th. If you want to get up there, just do me a favor and send me a text. As long as it's booked before the 1st. As long as you're booked before the 1st of July, I am going to do a discount on this. So if you go to Randall Rydes Fishing and you see the Lake Erie charters, you'll see that it's at a discounted price here. So it's $450 if it's booked before the 1st. So you come up there, and I can take up to 4 people out on my boat. But so if you break out between you and your friends and stuff, it's very doable. Okay, so all that just to encourage you to go to Lake Erie. It's a great lake, guys. I think you'll have a great time with it. But why do I target Lake Erie during July and August? And this is what I wanted to show you. This is what I wanted to share with you. This is Lake Erie. You can read the diagram here. This is the walleye harvest levels. The key there is to say harvest levels. You'll notice that over near Port Clinton, those are your highest harvest rates, and there's a reason for that. They do a fall fishing event. It's called the Fall Brawl, and it's huge, guys. They do massive competitions, and walleye fishermen swarm in from around the world on Port Clinton area, and they catch and catch and catch. There's a lot of catch reports there. We're not involved with that. It's in the fall. I'm not going out of state to do walleye fishing. We're staying in Pennsylvania, which is this little section up here around Presque Isle Bay. It's in Erie, Pennsylvania, of course. If you look right here, there's a little red blotch. It's just real small right there on the end of my cursor. This is going to be the ramp that you and I meet at. This is Walnut Creek. These reports that you see here, this blush shaded in area, that's where the reports are coming from. They're coming from Walnut Creek area. There's a couple docks there, but that's the big one. That's where I meet. July and August, those are the 2 dates. So what I want you to do is when I scroll down, this section in here is what you want to read. All right? So Lake Erie's walleye harvest is concentrated in the Western Basin. The Western Basin, of course, is to the west, where most charters are. That's because there's a lot of big cities and such. Telemetry data shows that more walleye remain there in the summer, so there's more remaining in that area during the summer, but they tend to be smaller fish. Why do we catch such large walleye in July and August? Why do I target walleye up at Lake Erie during July and August? Bigger walleyes swim east toward New York after the spawn. The bigger walleye swim to us up here in Lake Erie during July and August. That's the reason you schedule a time to go charter at Lake Erie in Pennsylvania during July and August. If you have a chance to do this, I think you'll be glad you did. The dates that I'll be up there are the 8th and the 8th through the 18th. And then you'll see that I have some days here where I'm going to be traveling to Sturgis And then when I get back from Sturgis, you'll see that I have another block of time set up to go back up in August from the 18th through the end of the month. But you don't have to remember that. It's there on randallrydes.com. You guys can check it out. If you forget, if you want to follow up with it, if you need to remind yourself, it's right there. Anytime you want it, my phone number is there. You can text or call. We will start talking about Lake Erie. And I know that a lot of you guys wanted to go last year and you missed the chance. Don't miss it again this year, guys. I'm sure you'll have a good time. So, do you guys have any questions for me before I feel like I'm bullying you guys over with a lot of stuff, but do you have any questions for me? At Lake Raystown, I'm going to be doing in between my trips to Lake Erie and such, and I have a little bit of like travel time and such, but you know, that I'm going to be on the motorcycle. But when I'm back around here and I'm fishing with you guys here at Raystown Lake, I'll be targeting mostly lake trout and perch. And both of those trips, I've done my best to keep them as low in cost as possible. So if I've been selling them, doing just split trips is what I'm doing, or what we call an open charter, or, you know, whatever. You purchase a seat rather than a private charter where you just charter the whole boat. I'm happy to do both, but I'm trying to keep it accessible so that everybody can come out and fish with me. The perching trips, you come out for about 3 hours and they're $50. And then the lake trout jigging trips, it's a full 4 to 5 hours out there jigging, and it's $100. So they are the least expensive ways to get out with a charter at Raystown Lake. I don't know of a cheaper way to do it. But please shoot me a text, give me a call if you're interested. And Mark, you asked, do I fish for yellow perch at Erie? 100%, absolutely. Absolutely we do. The only thing I'll say about that is the goal when we go out up at Erie is for walleye. That doesn't mean we're not going to catch yellow perch in the process of fishing for walleye, because we certainly do that. But the goal is to put walleye into the ice box. Now, if we do that quickly, if it's kind of like you know, flash in the pan stuff, it's okay. We can hit some perch up for a little bit if you'd like to. I gotta say though, the target is to get walleye, and then I don't want to linger too long. You understand, like the less time we spend on the water, Lake Erie has a tendency to churn up and get dangerous really quickly. And so your captain is always mindful of the safety that you have on big water. And so I'm doing my best to keep us all safe out there. So if there's any reason that I think we should go back to the dock, we're going to go right away. But that being said, if the water is flat, we can certainly go jig up some perch. And they are great perch up there. When I'm out with walleye, you know, out on my charters, I usually try to take a couple, you know, minnows and stuff, because I know how fast that can turn into a perching trip. And man, you can load up with some big perch up there. Talk about jumbos. TS, great question. Great question. Let me see where are we at here. This is the moonrise, and get rid of that. I think I closed it down. Let me search this up real quick with you. I think this is the page. There we go. Nope. Oh my gosh, pop-up's killing me. There it is. So this is in October of 21. 34 inches. Big old belly on him. Look how happy this guy is. I am so happy for him. That's awesome. Richard the Breeze Nicholson. I love it. Richard the Breeze. Just a beauty champion of a walleye. Look at that. So that's a pretty good one. 18 pound. Not too bad. Yep. Beasts. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, walleye are a special kind of fish, and it's a lot of fun to go up and just catch them because it's, well, you can do it steady. And I do work out my trips up there so that whenever we go, we are hitting them at the most effective times. So that block of time that I showed you, that's moon cycle favorable. That does not determine whether the water is going to be favorable or the weather. But ultimately, you can only do so much when you're booking or scheduling, months out sometimes. So I'm going to do some perch fishing here this Friday. And right now, I actually just posted this today, but I have 4 seats open. Both time slots 10 to 1 and then 2 to 5. So if you want to come out and join me on those, just send me a text. I will save you a seat. Right there's the text. So Fridays, I'm going to try and do perch trips every week on Friday so that you guys can expect it and you can make plans for it. And we'll try to catch them 2 at a time. No lead weights needed. Oh, gosh. What was that guy thinking? Wow. So I think that's kind of it for the live stream, guys. I'm going to linger for a few minutes. If you guys have any questions for me, fire away. I'll do my best to give you some feedback or any guidance I can. But what's on your mind? Oh, I did want to point out, I did receive, I don't have much to tell you as I just got it in the mail today, but you guys know that the links down below, you guys do a great job following the links down below all my YouTube videos. They have different products and stuff that I'm recommending, the stuff that I use on my charter, rods, reels, line, things like that. It's all there. Well, this reel is one of the items that I just updated. So this is the new reel. It is basically the new version of my other reel. The changes are really subtle, but this is the Cold Water by Okuma. And I got this new one. I have not used it yet. I haven't attached it, but we're going to go out here over the next couple days with my charters, and I'm going to start using this. This is the first one I got in with, the new, gears and the new powder coat and stuff. So everything feels solid with it. It's minor improvement to my old ones, and the reason I have a new one is because I have a broken one. So I'm just replacing it. There's the thing that went bad on it was the other one was the Star Drag. I had a charter client who just turned the drag until it was fully tight, and then he must have really grabbed it and wrenched on it, and he broke it. So, but that's it. Just that piece is broken. I can order parts for these to replace them. I just use it as a good excuse to order a new reel. If you are a fisherman, you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, hot and tots will work up there. I find with pulling your hard baits up at Lake Erie, I would say just stick to the basics and work them hard, and you're going to put fish in the boat. My preference at Lake Erie is to run crawler harnesses. I find with crawler harnesses, you have more flexibility in how to do your retrieves and such. You can have a lot of fun fishing with them, and I have yet to find something that outperforms a crawler harness. You can use crankbaits and stuff because they're simple, but I will find with it just a little bit a little bit of technique, if you will, a little bit of knowledge or technique, your crawler harnesses will outfish them. Of course, you got to work on technique and understand how to use your downriggers with a crawler harness. But I think most of you guys understand enough about fishing. You guys could work that out. And if you come on a fishing trip, you best believe we're going to run some crawler harnesses and we're going to run some crankbaits. You'll probably only see Bra-Airs lures on my boat. I don't think I have a need for big box store crankbaits. Hot and Tots will work, of course, but I think that I've got something better than that in the Bra-Airs lures, so I'm not going to deviate from it just yet. Reef runners work good as well, so anything that looks like a reef runner, Hot and Tot is okay, but I think you want something with a little bit longer and slender of a body. Depending on the conditions, you can get, sometimes it's a finesse bite. You want to use something smaller. There's a couple lures that'll work, but something like that. But those classics will work. And if you want to do the Lake Erie thing, just try to do it before July 1st. So that you get the good discounted price. And I will change that, guys. As of July 1st, I'm going to flip that, and it'll be the full price. I've looked around, too, as the charters up at Lake Erie. The one thing I don't want to do is undercut everybody's price. So I'm still low competitive with the charters that are up there, and I'm okay with that, but I don't want to undercut people. And mostly I'm doing this because I know most of us who are going up the Lake Erie, my clients, we're coming from the Lewistown community, and we're shooting up there and shooting back. It's not our local hometown or something, so we're still Lewistown community making it happen at Lake Erie. And we'll go up and represent. It'll be great. But yeah, try to do that before the 1st, so it's less expensive for you. And then if you want to set up for a Lewistown charter, you can do that as well. And the jigging charter is right here. And just as I'm finishing up the stream, I want to remind you that on Thursdays I am fishing Foster Sayers up in Howard, and this is a crappie trip. And I target both crappie and yellow perch up there, but it's mostly a crappie trip. So that's on Thursdays, and then perch fishing at Lewistown on Fridays, and then of course the catfish and carp registration and the paddling and bassin registration. Both of those are voluntary. So that's all my stuff that I needed to cover for the live stream, and I think we're close enough that I can kind of let you guys go with that. Do you have any questions before I shut it down for the night? Of course, Brian, anytime, man. Just on the topic of running up at Lake Erie, there's a company up there that it's a company up there that makes lures that I like, and I just want to throw them up here because I do think they work really well. Bay Rat is what they're called. Let's see if we have some pictures and stuff so you get an idea what they look like. Yeah, there's one there. So Bay Rats work really good, but a lure that kind of looks like these, I'll show you a color that I like. Okay, so yeah, if you get your Wonder Bread kind of looks, those are good. I want to suggest, let me just flip through here for a second, and I want to suggest, okay, so these are good. The cheap sunglasses is good. It's a good color. And then you guys can come back and reference this too, so it's no problem. These are just a couple colors that I think work really well. I'm trying to find one specifically for you before I send you off. But Bay Rat is a good company up there. They make good lures, and all of these are going to work to some degree on different days and stuff. What they're most likely to react to, it's going to change day to day. You understand? It's just like fishing. You got to figure out what they want. And I'm just scrolling through here to find one that really jumps out at me that I want to suggest to you. So just give me a second to find it for you. They got a lot of good ones here. And there's a couple sites you can go to find them. Okay, I didn't see the one that I was thinking. Okay. I saw one that was really close, so I want to share it with you. And then I'm going to shut this stream down. Goby is pretty good. It's the one I paused on there. But this brown trout one is the one I want to try and recommend. What I'm suggesting that you do when you go to Lake Erie is try to find one that's got some gold coloration in it. Some gold and yellow is good. Think of the colors of a walleye and get that in a lure. And I find that that's a good place to start with. That's like a general color that seems to work pretty consistently. And then deviate from that. Like always offer that and then do some other colors also with it. But Bay Rat is another good name. So Bay Rat and Reef Runner are both steady producers up at Lake Erie. And there's a bunch of great names that go with that too. There's a lot of other brands, but that's a good place to start. And hopefully that helps. All right, guys, come perch fishing with me and catch them 2 at a time. Use randallrydes.com to do any booking and send me a text if you have any questions. You want to set it up. I'm happy to talk with you. So with that, I'm going to say good night. Thank you for stopping in for the live stream. Think of a name for old rock bass back there, and we'll try to name him up for the community. And of course, in a couple weeks, we're going to have a couple events coming up. So hopefully you can participate in those. Those are no cost, but if you do the registration, we appreciate that support. All right. I'm going to say goodnight, guys. I'm getting kind of long-winded here, so I'll see you on the next one. I'll see you out on the water. Shake hands if you see me at the dock. All right. Much love and much respect. Good night.